Hello.
Hi.
Pleased today to be joined by Rupert Forsythe, CEO of StageClip. Good morning to you, Rupert. How are you doing?
Good morning, Linda. How are you?
I'm really well. I really appreciate
Good.
you taking the time for this interview today. One of my favourite pivot stories of COVID. I mean, it sounds like a wrong sentence in itself in a way, but StageClip, when I met you, was very much something to capture mass participation events and grab the individual moment out for each person, say a graduate that was part of that event. And I guess actually a business that was doing amazingly well, and I guess a business that people might have thought would be gone in the current times with no mass participation events. And what's been amazing is how you've pivoted the journey and hearing numbers, 2.5 million of revenues booked in 4 weeks in the first weeks of this pandemic. So amazing pivot story, Rupert.
Thank you.
And one of the things, I guess, grabbed my attention in that regard, that must have been in a moment of self-doubt when events stopped.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm not sure self-doubt was a thing. I think business doubt was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a case of what can I do to put right the wrong? So we are was established as a live events business. When I first came to your Set Squared thing, it was an idea on a piece of paper in a room, and we took it from there. And we built a business, fairly quickly, but steadily, and with the right kind of processes and infrastructures behind it for the live events scene. Then we had the thing where literally our diary was wiped out. So basically that meant that our business was wiped out. It was going to be a case of either making people redundant or furloughing them or going through that sort of painful process. So then it was a case of, right, what are the other possible outcomes that we could have? And we came up with a solution of a virtual graduation ceremony. So then the self-doubt was, well, will people like that? Will people go for it? Is it of any value? So I had business doubt in that respect, not necessarily personal doubt. Then it became a case of, oh, okay, we stood up some webinars. We got 1,700 people to the webinars, so there's definitely some kind of interest there. Then we started getting the requests and inquiries, and we thought, okay, what had been, I spent $763 putting together the product in enough of a form that I could give a demonstration to these people. And then we started getting the traction. So then the self-doubt became, or the business doubt became, have we priced it right? Are we offering the right things? Can we do it? Can we technologically do it? And that type of thing. And I would say that what has happened then is the business doubt has evolved over the last 6 weeks. And we've still got some of those doubts over technology, operational processes, and so on. Because we were a live events business that was at about 150 clients over the course of a year. We were looking to double that over the course of the following year. That was all looking quite nice and on target. And then we've gone from that to nearly 1,000 clients in 6 weeks. And so now from a doubt perspective, it's for me, as I'm saying at the moment, it's more a business doubt. It's like, can we do it? How do we do it? What's the way forward here? And then part of that, I suppose, if it feeds into the self, is to say, okay, do I believe in myself enough to be able to lead my team who on a daily basis at the moment have self-doubt because it's so overwhelming? And so I feel it's my job to be able to help them to have that ability to get over the self-doubt. And then at the same time, I look at the scale and the enormity of what we've got ahead. But I have to say, well, I've got to this point. We've got an end point to get to. Just got to keep working hard at it. And in some respects, yes, my skills will be better than some people and worse than some people. But these are the skills I've got. So I've just got to go with it. And if I sit there going, oh, my skills aren't as good as the person down the road, I'm never going to be able to get this done, and the self-doubt creeps in, we won't get it done. So I have to be, right, okay, that's my skill set. That's what I've got. Who's better at all this than me? Who can I call? Who can I speak to? Who can advise me and help me? And then that helps build or negate some of the self-doubt personally. And at the same time, it's then building, negating some of the business doubt as well.
It's an important distinction. Thank you for making it. But in terms of business doubt and human self-doubt, there is an importance.
Yes, but they are intertwined, in a business context.
Yes, and I guess why I thought to flag it as such with the pivots of your business is that a lot of people would have that look at that moment and think, oh, that's it, over. And I guess in business doubt and in human self-doubt, it is that moment of, do we have something that prevents us from pushing forward? And how do we shift things? So the fact you've stated, I've got these skills, I have this ability, I can go out and test. I can put a webinar out and see how people respond. How can we overcome that moment where we may be prevented from moving forward? It's all human self-doubt.
Yes, I suppose that's true to a certain point, actually. And I think also, outlook is an interesting one. I've never felt that I'm owed anything, life owes me anything. It's what you make it, you go out and get it. So when this happened, it was interesting seeing where personality types and perhaps even doubt then creep in. So there were some people like, oh, that's it, live events business cancelled. Right, we've got to get the C-bills, we've got to get the government support, we've got to get this, and this, and this, and it was all kind of, and the banks have got to do this, and it was kind of like, everything, that kind of approach, which I guess came from, to some degree, the doubt that they might even be able to go beyond that, was like, that was the safety net. That was the easy, it's almost like that was the easy thing to do. And I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, by the way. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do for many, many, many businesses, and indeed our own. But I feel you also have to try and look beyond and see where the opportunities are, so that you can create your own destiny, really, because no one else is going to give it to you.
Absolutely. And what techniques do you use to see beyond? How do you get to be more creative or think about another way forward?
I always look at things that, like, what's the worst case scenario? And so it doesn't matter how bad things are for us in this country. It is almost a certainty that we will never be in sub-Saharan Africa being massacred by a rebel army, our wives being raped, our huts being burnt to the ground, and trying to pull some dirt out of the ground to feed ourselves. So we are so fortunate in everything that we do, and sometimes I think we just lose the perspective. So even in this instance, if it didn't go our way, no one liked the product, we tried to find other ways to do things and it didn't work out, the business went down the pan and everything else like that, we're all on furlough, we're at the food bank, we're doing all that sort of thing, that's still a pretty good outcome in the scheme of humanity. And so I think probably I try and look at it a bit like that. There's the stoical philosophy, I suppose, is one I subscribe to.
What's the worst that can happen, and I can completely handle it. Right?
Yeah. Am I healthy? Is there food on the table? Are my children happy and healthy? There's people dying in hospital with tubes down their throats, and their families can't be with them. So actually, this is not, from a business perspective, it's pretty, it's hard, and it can be dire, and it has been for many, many businesses. But in the great scheme of life, we're still okay and pretty good in this country on the whole.
And you mentioned a moment ago about how you're looking after your team and their self-doubt. The importance of your awareness of that. How is it you're spotting it? How are you knowing when to step in?
I don't think there's any science to it. Every individual is different. I guess having worked with them for a period of time now, you get to sort of see people's peaks and troughs, and no doubt they'll see mine as well. They'll know there's days when I'm full up, don't go there. And, I think generally people need or like guidance and what I call the arm round. If you think about it, we're born, our parents generally look after us and give us that guidance, and they kind of help us with that self-doubt. They're the ones that help build our confidence. Our teachers at schools help build our confidence. And just because we get older in life and really old and stuff like that, doesn't mean we don't need people to help us and give us that nudge say, you're doing okay, it's all right, doesn't matter, so that went wrong, don't worry about it, this will go right, come on. It's that kind of thing, and there's no science to it, no art to it. Sometimes I get it wrong, sometimes spectacularly wrong, but I hope that I can just give them that little bit, that nudge that helps them go on. And then we look back at it and go, hey, that worked out, didn't it? That was good. You can do that again, can't you? Yes.
And do you feel you're someone that does do that kind of looking back quite often? Because it's the sense of learning that's come through in the conversation already, and how to test, how to put things out there, how to learn.
Yes, I would say that I've made 100 times more mistakes than things I've got right. I've basically messed up over 25 years, but every time I mess up, I'm in a situation to know not what to do going forward. And perhaps this is now my moment after all that sort of trial and error. You know, some people might be able to do it in 2 years, some in 10, some in 5, and for me, it's taken this long. This and even this might not pan out the way we all hope. You know, you just got to keep working at it and hope that it does. But I hope that all the knowledge that I've acquired over those years allows that to be more likely than unlikely.
And of course, I'm going to add to that, Rupert, you're being incredibly modest because you've obviously had huge amounts of success over the years, and it's one of many moments for you.
Only time will tell on this one, and it'll be very, very interesting when you do the next series and say, where did it all go wrong?
Well, I love actually one of the things you state about yourself is you've never had a proper job.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I literally have been making it up for 20, 25 years. And so that perhaps is one of the things that allows me to not have the self-doubt. I've never been that worried, and I think it's probably another thing about self-doubt, is I've never been actually that worried about what people think about me. I know that there are people that worry about what their friends say and what's going on here and what's happening at the school gates and that type of thing. I've never really been that worried about it. And in some respects, I think that's just allowed me to be a bit free and to just go out and fail lots and lots of times, spectacularly in some instances. But I don't think I'm not worried if people judge me for it, because only got one life, only got one opportunity, and go for it. And as I say, if this happens now to be the moment that works for me after all this time, then fantastic. But it could just as well not be, and we could be having a very different conversation in 8 weeks' time.
I absolutely don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. It's unconscious of the time and you needing to fly much to talk about your amazing successes, Rupert. So I will stop there because I know you've got to run. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Linda. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye-bye now.